Good afternoon, everybody. This is Will Conaway, Chief Growth Officer at the HCI Group, a Tech Mahindra company. Today, we have two great guests. We're going to talk about St. Luke University Health Network's cloud transformation journey. Today, with me, I have Chad Brisendine of the CFO, or excuse me, the CIO. I'm promoting you today, the CIO and the Vice President over at St. Luke's, and Tim Gray with us today. Tim, I know you're an executive advisor and a leader over at Microsoft, and I also saw stock today. It was what, 271.58 at Microsoft. So you guys are really doing well today. So we're going to start out the day. We're going to take about 30 minutes, and we're going to learn and listen and have some fun today and have just an open conversation here. So I think we need to do a little getting to know you two. So Chad, I'll go to you first, but Tim, I'm going to ask the same question. Can you just take a couple minutes and tell us, everybody out here, about your role in technology?
Great. Thanks, Will. Looking forward to talking to you today. And I guess I could be the CFO to talk a little bit about financials, but thanks for the promotion. If my CFO was on, I would definitely be making some comments for him. I first want to start out by thanking our service members, our armed service members, anyone that's on or any of their families. I know we're going into Memorial Day weekend, and this is to remember the folks that have fallen for us in America. And I'm very blessed to thank all those that may have been impacted by a family member fallen, and that we celebrate them this weekend. So my hat's off to you and your families. I am Chad Brisendine. Oh, I'm sorry, Tim, go ahead.
No, I said well said.
My name is Chad Brisendine. I'm the CIO for St. Luke's. I've been at St. Luke's since 2009. Previously, I was at Christus Health and been in healthcare since '99. Just a little bit about St. Luke's. We're an 18,000 employee integrated delivery network in Northeast Pennsylvania, so north of Philly, an hour west of New York City by 2 hours. And we're 13 hospitals. We're 350 physician practices, a little over 3,000 physicians, and we're on a single instance of Epic across all those systems. Recently, just took out our home care system live as well. So that's a little bit about me, Will, and I'm looking forward to today. Thank you.
And Tim.
Yeah, thanks, Will. Thanks for having me here today. I'm not the CFO of Microsoft. I think Amy Hood's got that job well in hand. But I am currently an industry executive here in the healthcare space at Microsoft in the provider community. But I've been in healthcare now for 25 years and have held many different roles. Really, my role today is to fully understand the challenges that our customers are facing, which are common and unique across the provider landscape, and to help bring solutioning to those challenges, which allow our providers to advance healthcare within their ecosystem. Also, what I do at Microsoft is I help drive industry education, enabling a true pivot to industry approach for all of our Microsoft teams, which include our core account teams, our customer success unit, our sales departments, and consulting and support. Outside of Microsoft, I stay active in HIMSS and in Chime and some other focus groups as well too. Serving as a volunteer in the HIT community, serving as a board officer with my state chapter of HIMSS, as well as being a thought leader in the industry. Other than that, I enjoy playing golf and trying to get outside as much as possible. Like Chad, it looks like it's going to be a weekend full of yard work here, but thanks for having us, Will, and happy to be here.
And I'm just going to put you on the spot, guys, and I'm going to ask one odd question here in one sentence. And Tim, I'll start with you, and Chad, I'll go over to you then. In one sentence, what makes Microsoft a special place to work?
Wow. I mean, that's an easy question right there. The culture, what just is mind-blowing about Microsoft, and I've been here since 2019, is that Microsoft cares about their people inside the organization and outside the organization. That was my observation pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, and post-pandemic. Is just amazing the things that we do. We give to a lot of different causes. we take care of each other. And with that, there's many other things that lead into the culture, but by far the culture is what makes Microsoft, to me, the most special place to work.
Nice. And Chad, same question.
Well, I won't comment on Microsoft, but I will comment on St. Luke's. And the only reason why I bring up Microsoft is because Tim and I have had this conversation, and I think Will, we share similar backgrounds. I know your previous role, like mine, and I know Tim was as well. And Tim and I sat down and had this conversation about what we love about our organizations, and I really got a good appreciation for Microsoft through Tim's lens because of how satisfied he was as an employee. And I believe, Tim, your wife now works at Microsoft. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
She works there as well, and I know we were talking about that journey as well. But for St. Luke's, I think we have very similar cultures, and that's why I think St. Luke's and Microsoft have aligned really well. I think it's all about the people, and people aren't a number. Even with 18,000 employees, our CEO has been there for 35 years. I think Satya, the CEO of Microsoft, and him are very aligned on many of the issues culturally that need to transpire within organizations, and that is creating more servant leadership type capabilities within your organization and really taking care of your employees, even when you're going through a tough time in the organization, making sure that they're still number one. And when you do that, you get great synergies with your employees. And St. Luke's is unique in one aspect, and I would say, at least for the previous organizations I've worked, we've always had phenomenal working relationships, but the tight integration between physician leadership and administrative leadership at St. Luke's, we're really one team, we're all on the same page working together on things. We sit down, we talk, we work through things. It's just a very open, collaborative physician administrative team, which then sets the tone, I think, for our employees to really work together as well.
Nice. And let's get down to the topic today about the cloud transformation journey that St. Luke's had. When did this planning process all begin? And, why would a person, want to take their applications to the cloud? What was the planning process like, and why were you thinking that direction?
I would start with 2017. And why do I say 2017? We were learning a lot about the cloud, externally through areas like Gartner and others, and from other external industries, beginning their cloud journeys. In healthcare, we weren't quite ready for that, but we were in the early stages. We had been live with Epic full production for 3 years with our infrastructure, and we knew we needed to start thinking about it. It wasn't until 2018 that we really got serious, and then in 2019 we really began working with Tim's team and the HCI group as well, Will, to help us figure out how to get to the cloud, knowing that we were going to be an early adopter. And at that point, as we know, there's 3 clouds out there, but in healthcare, there's not 3 clouds. And there really was no clouds at that time when it came to full EMR or Epic. And so we had been already doing a strategic digital transformation journey with Microsoft and put together a whole bunch of initiatives, and our cloud was part of that process. And we, kind of had the options of either stay on-prem, move to a remote hosted situation where somebody else managed it, or do our own thing in the cloud. And we looked at the options and knew, kind of, I would say directionally, we felt like there's a lot more benefit in getting the capabilities of the cloud. So the scalability and the security, et cetera.
Yeah. And this is interesting because you're talking 2017, 2018. So it wasn't an overnight process. It took a lot of planning, a lot of work. Was there points in time where there was any pushback from leadership, or how does someone, and I know I've been in your role, how does somebody convince sometimes the board, the other C-level people that this is the right thing to do?
I'm sorry, repeat your question, Will. My apologies. I had a little commotion going in the background. I had to mute there. So
That's fine. No, I just, from being in your position in the past, I know sometimes it's difficult to go explain to, the other C-level peers and the board that doing anything technology-wise, because, there's a lot of people, a lot of man hours, a lot of money, a lot of time commitment, a lot of political capital to spend here. At what point in time did you ever receive pushback from leadership, and what was your approach?
I guess I would take Will, the CFO, kind of COO mentality. which is, what were the assumptions we were making? And I think one of the core assumptions we made was, security in the cloud is better. And so we, had security team look. We believe and we know today that our security in the cloud is better. So that was a positive. Number two for us was the assumption was we were going to save money, and that assumption is true. So check mark number one and check mark number two big assumptions have both been validated. We had PwC after our implementation of Epic validate our security in the cloud and give us a report all the way to the discussion at the board level with that about how we did on that, and we've done the same thing on our financial model, and we've saved about 22%, I think, on our ongoing of what we had on-prem. And I think I've mentioned this in the past, but what we're really seeing is a lot of savings in the compute CPU side, a little more cost in the storage side, just how things are designed in the cloud and how we have it implemented. But I would say those were the two primary things. And then the third thing is we knew from an elasticity standpoint that with as much growth as we were having, which we're been averaging between 15 and 20%, we had been doing mergers and acquisitions, and our CEO wanted us to keep doing them faster and faster and faster. We knew the faster, with the cloud, we were going to be able to, if they decided 3 months from now, we're going to do X, Y, Z, we could really move quickly. We had got our Epic implementation down, and I know this sounds crazy, for an acquisition down to 8 weeks. But the big linchpin for us was always the infrastructure pieces of all of it. And so we were able to, our last hospital, which was a 120 bed hospital integration that we did the whole implementation from end to end, security, networking, Epic, the whole thing, about 800 employees. We did it in 7 weeks. So give you a couple points that may be more than you wanted, but
no, I made some notes there. I was just thinking, you talk about some of these benefits we have. I mean, let's talk about the patient. Ultimately, we all work in healthcare because it's about the patient, and we want to be part of the episode of care. We want to make a difference, want better outcomes. So, how is the cloud putting things in the cloud, especially with your EHR system? How has that changed your ability to help the patient's episode of care?
Well, for us, it was around two things I would say. One is it's really about the scalability is what I would rely to, and I'll give you two stories. One is we had early on in 2019, our team wanted to get comfortable with the cloud, so the first thing they did is they moved the internet servers to the cloud. So we moved, I think it was 4 systems to the cloud. Our team was feeling good about that, and then we had a bunch of different systems go live from a patient access standpoint, functionality that went live. And when we did that, we needed to scale that, and we were able to scale that very quickly. Then fast forward 2020, it was like end of 2020, beginning of 2021, fortunately we had the first components. We had our MyChart servers in the cloud already. We took I know I've shared this with you, but just for folks to know, we took all these different environments to the cloud over about a 12-month process. But some of the earlier servers that we took out were the MyChart servers. And we were fortunate that when the vaccine hit, I'm sure everybody remembers the day that all the patients were going to get scheduled in your organization. Phone lines were busy, and MyChart went out of the roof. Well, when it did that, we were able to scale up within a couple of minutes to meet the demand of that. If we would have been on-prem, we would have, it would have taken us forever to figure out how to get that scalability. It would have been, probably a good week or more for us to figure that out, or take capacity from somewhere else, et cetera. So really the capacity management, the scalability when things happen, more importantly, when unplanned things are happening, and that way that those patients that should be able to get their vaccine were able to get scheduled and get their appointment. So, they wouldn't have been able to do that without the elasticity of the cloud.
And I'm going to kind of ping on to this. This is great. I mean, one of the things we talk about the patient, let's also look at the care providers. They have a big role in this too. How were they affected by the applications going to the cloud, EHR going to the cloud? Was there any, concerns, any worries at that point? And they
didn't even know. Nope, they didn't even know, Will. We didn't even tell them. We told them later. We told them like 3 months after the cloud went live. We monitored everything. Now, a core group of our physicians knew, because we wanted them to know because they're in the practice and they're part of our champion group, et cetera. So we asked them, hey, look, don't tell anybody, but work in it and give us feedback. And what the great thing is between the cloud monitoring that we have with Microsoft and also the monitoring we have within Epic and Epic's team that was monitoring this as well, we knew like the physicians weren't impacted from a performance standpoint, and we were monitoring that all the way through. And oh, by the way, we took no downtimes to make this whole entire change, which is even more amazing. So we're moving pieces and parts, and we were actually running both in the cloud and on-prem at the same time for a period of time. And then we did the final migration, so users were kind of in both over time. And with VMware and Citrix and Epic and the way the cloud's designed, our team was able to basically test things and migrate them over a period, which was really nice.
Excellent. And Tim, I got to ask you, I mean, from Microsoft's standpoint, it couldn't have worked out much better. This is absolutely tremendous. From Microsoft, in your viewpoint, I mean, obviously the episode of care, perfect. The care providers didn't even know it. I mean, what lesson learned have you at Microsoft learned here? And I mean, how do you move that forward?
Yeah, no, I think we just keep pushing that forward. I mean, some of our other customers have come forward with some additional feedback around, the benefits of that. And one that stood out that I heard not too long ago was that their tickets that they were calling into from like clinicians on the desktop at Epic or a nurse or another level of clinician would their system would freeze. And then they'd have to call the IT help desk and call in and get them to reboot their station. Well, at one of our customers that are doing this, they saw a reduction of 57% less call-ins for that. So as a clinician, I'm spending more time actually getting through my care with my patient. I'm not worrying about the computer freezing up. So that was that helped alleviate that from that standpoint. But the more and more we see this, the more and more we're going to see more and more of our providers look to cloud as the base of their care. So it's been wonderful.
That's great. Were there, we talk about these great things here, and I'm sure most of that was planned out. I mean, obviously you guys had a nice planning period together. Was there anything that was unanticipated that ended up being a benefit that you weren't thinking about, and now you're looking at things and saying, hey, I wasn't thinking that, but this is wonderful?
I would say yes, and the key thing for that was the backup and recovery piece of this. So, I won't mention vendor names because I don't think it's appropriate, but I'll just say that our on-prem backup and recovery system, which our team loved, I mean, they've had a lot of great stories and success. We're able to reduce the cost of it by 50% and get a lot more functionality out of the new capability in the cloud. So half the cost per year, which is significant, like CFO very happy kind of moment. The second piece of that story was, I think everybody knows that you can do like cold storage off with your system from a security standpoint, so that if your data gets compromised, then you can recover from that cold storage copy. And we were able to implement that as well, so that we got a significant reduction. Plus, we implemented new capabilities, so all of our tier 1 systems are now that are in the cloud protected by that. So when I go back to not only is it more secure, like hackability, and when I mean secure, I'm talking about at the network and into the access level, as well as at the data level. Those 3 components are better in the cloud, and then we also have the recover capability, and we're working on recoverability testing. We've been with Epic. We do when we actually do our upgrades and stuff, we actually flip over to a completely different. We've done this for a long time. We flip over to a completely different environment and data center and everything to test our recoverability as we upgrade, and we bake that into our upgrades, into our timeline. So now we have this other additional piece that we're working to recover from as well as part of that process. That's probably more than you wanted, Will, but really great additional benefit that I was super happy to get. And, with what's going on right now, I think it's super important for, organizations in healthcare.
Yeah. And I think too that, now that we have more and more providers doing this from a platform standpoint, but also from a training standpoint, I think we at Microsoft realize that we need to help enable our providers to be skilled in caring for this environment post the time you get to cloud. So I think one thing that we've seen from a company standpoint is that we've increased our training capabilities and our education to our customers to enable them to be able to not only just implement it but maintain it, but to also support and optimize it moving forward. So some of the lessons we've learned in the last few years and some of the changes we've made going forward are in and around that view of training and the level that we're helping to provide our customers.
Nice.
And look, at the end of the day, you're going to be there supporting. You're there. You're going to be owning that. You own your environment. We're there to control it, but at the same time, it's like we want to make sure that your people are armed with as much knowledge about the cloud as possible, so that they can do even more wonderful things with it.
No, it's great. And it's funny as Chad, you're saying that I've got my cell phone up here, and of course people are texting me because we have people listening in. So I actually have someone that texted me a question, and I think it's interesting because they're asking me, probably a CIO, that this turned out great. They're thinking about doing the same thing, and they want to know, are there still things that keep you up at night, technology-wise, and what would a few of your next initiatives be, and why?
The only thing that keeps me up at night is everything that we don't have in the cloud. And there are some systems, and I mean that, like, we don't have some systems in the cloud, and I feel like we need to have them there. And I've been continuing to put pressure on our vendors. And some of this is related to the types of systems there are and has to do with latency. And so, having some kind of hybrid cloud model where I can still get a lot of the benefits, we need to work on that. And I'm just talking about that piece. I would just say, like, security is always a big concern. Like, we're more secure, but does that mean we're bulletproof? No, but we've, done a lot with Microsoft, and I know we're not talking about all the other stuff we've done with Microsoft related to security, but that's a whole entire different conversation. I think is definitely worth coming back to talk about, Will. But when you look at the protection we're getting around the cloud, you look at the protection that we're getting at the desktop layer, and then all of the capabilities that Microsoft has in between those layers, we're better off than where we were. And so, I sleep better at night knowing my team is, attacking those situations from a ransomware and from a security posture standpoint with better tools, better information, and better, my CISO tells me all the time, he's like, oh, we, had this, we had this. And the reason why he can see that now is he has better transparency with, if you look at least for our environment, and the reason why I went with Microsoft was we're a Microsoft shop. We have Microsoft desktops, we have Microsoft servers, we have SQL, we have, dang near everything. I mean, we have a few servers that are non-Microsoft, but 90% of our environment's Microsoft. So by having all the capabilities really mashed up together, there's a tremendous amount of benefit. And so I would say, don't just look at the cloud, look beyond that and really understand why the other pieces may make sense to kind of put the puzzle together, if you will.
That's good. I'm just going to ask a question because you're talking, and I'm kind of curious about this myself here, and that is, what should an organization or a healthcare organization look at? I mean, what percentage would be really realistic to get your apps in the cloud? Is that 80% of your apps? 70%?
We're about 60, and I'm going to be more specific, but I'm going to just round it to 65, and that's rounding down. But I would love to get to 80, Will. And the issue that I have is it's all about the technology. It's about the apps, et cetera. So, we went back and forth on whether we should do AppRat and then do the cloud or do vice versa. And the problem was we started this journey even earlier, and we said, we're going to do this, in 2019 with non-Epic stuff. We're just going to move it to the cloud. The challenge we had is we were trying to AppRat at the same time, and it was just slowing our cloud journey down. And we were seeing a lot of benefits in the cloud. So we said, you know what? We're going to put it in the cloud, and we're going to get a lot more transparency on how many active users there are and what's going on in these sessions and what the transparency is financially and how much it really takes to run this stuff. And so we're able to get a lot more transparency on our apps. The only ones that are on-prem are, unfortunately, vendors that we know will break things in the cloud. I believe, give me another 18 months or so, I'll be in the 85-ish range based on what we're working on right now. So.
That's impressive. I have one question here from the crowd too, a chat coming over. And that's to you, Chad. Have you encountered any corruption and data corruption in the cloud?
No.
None. Okay. And we're down to
we've done recoverability of that too as a test.
Excellent. Down to about 5 minutes. So I'm going to have a lightning round here for the two of you. And I'm going to ask because I always get a lot of young people at these calls and they want to learn more about how they become an executive one day. So what do you have one important lesson that you've learned in your career that has helped you get to where you are today? And Tim, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think trust comes first. I think individuals, I think trust goes a long way. It's the basis and the most important foundation from my perspective to build a relationship. And look, if you're going to lead, you need to have trust. Your people need to trust in you. So for me, I feel like that is, for me, one of the most important things to have as a leader, with the people you're going to lead, the organizations you're going to lead. And that's a skill that takes time, but it also takes a lot of authenticity. So as you think about your journey into your leadership roles, for me that's the foundation of a great leader is that trust.
I agree with Tim. I would add, I think number one would be, for me at least, mentorship. Find leaders that are willing to spend time with you on your career, and don't just find one, and get input from folks, and then be very critical about yourself by asking others on ways you can improve both your team that is working with you on things, as well as leaders around you that get to see you and be willing to take that feedback and put it into action. So it's all about development from my standpoint. And then as you develop, don't worry about the title and salary. Worry about the expertise that you're getting and the skill set that you're getting. And salary and title will come as you get better and better and better at what you do. But just stay focused on your own development and being super critical about that as you grow.
Do you guys see I'm thinking here, and just the great answers, and I hear the trust and the mentor. I totally believe, I think a lot of times people stop getting mentors and they get around the manager level, they get scared, they don't think they should ask, they think they know it all. So I think that's perfect. You always should be talking to a coach or a mentor or something. I mean, even professional sports athletes have them. So let me ask, is there a certain type of personality trait or a skill that someone at your level has to have to get there? I mean, is there one thing that, the secret sauce item, or is it a combination of many things?
Yeah, well, that's a tough question. I mean, it's easy to say it's a combination of many things, right? But I think as someone who's looking at that personality trait and even a human trait is, what we call here at Microsoft the growth mindset, right? Not being a know-it-all, open to feedback and ideas from others, and recognizing that as an opportunity for you to grow as an individual. Of course, I could probably go on a million others, but that's one that comes to mind here, that I'm thinking of.
Yeah, and I think, at least for me, I mean, I think Tim and I nailed two of the key capabilities, but there's a bunch, right? Communication, proactive communication, and forward communication. Not being afraid in your communication either. The good things, the bad things, being completely transparent about things. Don't hold things back. Those are three of them. But I would just say care too. Care about your work and care about the people, and that'll go a long way. So I think there's three or four characteristics there.
Mhm.
There's not a certain personality. I would say there's a certain mindset. If you want to do something and you want to do it and you want to go after it and you're willing to take on what's necessary to do it, you can achieve it. That may mean, and I know we've all had to move around in our careers. That may be moving around in our careers. That may be taking a job in another location. That may be taking a job with another company. That may be sticking it out with the company you're in because you feel like you're in a good trajectory. But work with great leadership. And we have one person leaving the organization that I truly love, and he's one of our staff. Well, he's a process engineer for us in IT, and he's leaving and he wants to go on his next journey. And I've had career conversations with him forever. I'm like, hey, at some point, we may not be the right fit for you as you grow, and as a leader, I've got to be willing to accept that it may be a better spot for him. And he's like, well, there's always an open spot for me if I want to come back. And I said, of course, any time. And it's time for him to be on his next journey. But I think those conversations are healthy with your leadership, and hopefully you can get the right mentorship and guidance and realize when your time is to stay and when your time is to seek out that new opportunity.
Good. I have one last question for both of you, and I think this is a really important question, and that is, in the perfect world, what should healthcare IT look like at a healthcare system?
Well, I'll throw mine out there first. I think healthcare needs to be more efficient. It needs to be simple. It needs to be effective. And I think at the end of the day, the focal point of healthcare needs to be on the customer's health and well-being. I think we're trending towards that. I still think as a country and as a world, there's still work to be done there. I think some people have figured out things better than others, but at the end of the day, I think we really just need to focus on our customers and their health and well-being.
And I think that's great, Tim. I couldn't agree with that more. I would say my journey has been to get leaders where they're thinking IT as I've got a problem. I know technology needs to help me solve it. And that's the primary thing when I think problem, solution. And that's been my journey, so that when people think about a situation that they're in, they don't think about putting people in the place and fixing that problem, but they think about what technology do we have available to solve that problem. And if we can't, then maybe we need to use people to solve it. But we should try to use technology to solve those situations. We should try to use data and information to inform ourselves about how we run our business. And so really it's creating a leadership, healthcare, folks that come in healthcare come in all different shapes and sizes and from different backgrounds and all kinds of stuff. And so really it's about, creating a smarter leadership team in the company to drive better decision making and better outcomes for the organization.
Oh, thank you. And I'd like to say thanks to my guest today. Thanks to Chad Brisendine of St. Luke's, Tim Gray of Microsoft. I'm Will Conaway saying please have a happy and safe Memorial Day. Enjoy your extra day off. But Chad, I appreciate your opening statements, and it's very important that we all understand the importance of Memorial Day, and then it's very, very, very important. So thank you, everybody. Have a good day. See you next time.
Thanks, Will. Thanks for everyone for attending. Thanks, Chad.
Thanks, Will, and thank the team for the HCI team for all their help through our cloud journey, and to the Microsoft team and Tim's team at Microsoft for their help as well. We couldn't do it without you. So thank you very much, and have a great Memorial weekend.
Thank you.